Technology.
Technology. You ever heard of it?
I think so.
Okay,
I think
well-
I can Google it on my phone.
That is exactly right. That is what technology is. So, you know what we're going to talk about?
Dildos?
Those are electric. But we're going to talk about electric cars.
Oh. I mean, yay.
So, this was your topic. You wanted to bring this
Yeah.
up. I agreed with it strongly because I'm a big fan of electric cars.
They are fun.
I have one. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's all good.
But mine is terrible by design. What I
Yeah.
have is one of those neighborhood electric vehicles that can only go like 5-10 miles before it needs to recharge and can only go 35 miles an hour at most.
So it's a go-kart.
It's a golf cart,
Yeah.
not a go-kart. Go-karts are fun.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Golf carts are pretty chill.
Yeah, they can
But
be.
it's a cool little car.
Oh, yeah. I saw it.
I would
It's
love
neat.
to have, you know, you can get a used Nissan Leaf with like 40,000 miles on it for like $8,000.
That's actually really impressive.
It's
I have to admit,
remarkable.
yeah.
And they're, you know, it's a smallish car. Still seats 5, but it's
Yeah, but I mean, still, it does the job. I
Right.
mean, that's the thing. It's, you know, and especially like from my background, if you folks are curious, is I just finished, you know, I'm almost finished up going to school for diesel mechanics. You know, dealing with the big rigs, Class A trucks, you know, and granted, torque is the big thing. And even, you know, talking with my teachers and my classmates, we talked about how neat and amazing electric cars are, which I know is kind of like, wait, you deal with diesel trucks, why would you talk about electric cars? Because they have all the torque at the wheels.
at 0 RPM,
Exactly.
all the torque.
Exactly.
That's why, you know, the Tesla Model S, which gets the best mileage of anything in its class,
For the moment, yeah.
is also the fastest, the quickest car in its class
Absolutely.
by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. So, I mean, to break it down for you folks, is the fact that, okay, most engines, all they really do, no matter what, you know, fuel you use, steam, charcoal, coal, gas,
Unicorn
diesel,
farts.
unicorn farts even, it takes that heat energy and turns it into a kinetic energy, into movement. Now, most vehicles, you lose power when you're, you know, shifting, when it's going through the drive line to the wheels.
We're getting kind of nerdy here.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the unicorns get tired when on the treadmill because it's having to move a lot of leprechauns, and they get worn out fast, so you lose power. How's that?
On St. Patty's Day,
Yes, especially
my son once asked me, "Are we leprechauns?" Because we're very Irish.
Oh, okay. I was going to say short, but yes.
Well, I mean, we're not from Ireland, but
Yeah.
we're Irish.
Yeah, I got you.
And
You're drunk a lot. Yep.
God, that's what we forgot to get was something to drink.
Beer.
We got coffee and didn't
Yeah.
get anything else. So,
Yeah.
so in bringing up electric cars, one thing you'd wanted to know is why has adoption been so slow?
Yeah, that's one thing I never did understand, and I mean that with all sincerity, because even there's a great documentary on who killed the electric car, and GM actually was mass producing these great electric cars that were amazing. European journalists were raving about it, and then they killed it.
To clarify, by mass producing, it wasn't a huge production.
True.
And by great car, we should clarify, it was a good car.
Yes.
It was capable. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't as capable as some of the, as ones are now.
Yeah.
Now they're, I would say, perfectly capable.
Yeah, because, I mean, this was back in, the early 90s?
Yes.
You know, so, I mean, this is, 20 years ago. And they produced about, 2,000?
Sounds about right.
You know, and then they stopped and destroyed them.
Yes. They didn't sell them.
No.
They leased them.
Yes.
And when the leases were up, the owner said, "Hey, man, I just want to keep the car." And they said,
Yep.
"Nope, sorry." Apparently, there is one
Yes.
that remains on display in
Yes.
a museum, but they disabled the drivetrain before they gave it to him,
Yep.
which is, right there, you got to scratch your. I mean, just give them the goddamn car.
No kidding. I mean, and actually, they would take some of the cars by force. Even like they would break in and steal the car.
Wow, I don't understand. See, the conspiracy theorists will say, "Oh, the gas companies are in collusion." Well, right,
Yeah.
but I can't discount that entirely. But at the same time, if you've got the better mousetrap, why would you get rid of it?
And I think, to be honest, that is the burning question. Why? Like, why? Especially if we had that car 20 years ago.
Right.
Imagine what Teslas would be like now.
Well, Tesla wouldn't exist because it wouldn't have had a niche to fill.
That's
but
true.
What we would have, see, Tesla came on the scene and nobody bought it. None of the industry experts
Wanted to buy
into it.
Yes.
But consumers did.
Yes.
And within 3, 4, 5 years,
Yeah.
they're making a world-class car
Oh yeah.
without the R&D money that
Like GM or
Right.
Ford or Dodge would have. And I mean, to give you an idea, so I live in the ritzy neighborhood of Sammamish, and I see about like 3 or 4 every few cars. I kid you not. They are all over
on
the
the
place.
east side. The
on
Teslas
the east
are
side.
absolutely
Oh,
everywhere.
they are everywhere. Even I work at a place that I will not name. But this gentleman actually came in.
Gay porn.
Yeah, it's called double fisting. He came in with a Model X, and he was the 3rd person in our state to own one. Yeah.
So once Tesla came out with theirs, again, Nissan came out with their Leaf.
Yep.
Within, I mean, from development to release was a few years.
Yeah.
And again, it's a good car.
Yeah.
The range is only 150 miles. You know what?
But
Fine.
there's charging stations
Right.
almost everywhere now.
And how often do you drive more than 150 miles at a shot? Some people say, well, I do it all the time. Great. 99% of us don't.
Exactly.
And then BMW's got their, what is it, a i5 or something?
Something like that, I want to say. Yeah, I've seen those around too, actually. Yeah.
And those are also
reliable.
reliable, capable.
I see them all the time.
And, so it's not that we couldn't do it. It's that I guess the will wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then you've got some proper failures like
Yeah.
the Mitsubishi i-MiEV. But Mitsubishi just does not have good market share in the U.S.
No, they're not doing the best anymore. I mean, they've got the Lancer market, which those are great cars, but that's more like sporty. And, I want to be a teenager again because, my wife is not paying attention to me anymore type scenario.
Well,
but
I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Is it because she doesn't exist?
Yes, actually, to be honest with you, Clara, she does. She's not real. I'm sorry to let you know
Wow.
that.
So, what did you guys do with all those wedding presents I got you?
Anyways, on a different subject. Yes.
So, electric cars are getting bigger.
Yes.
And one of the neat things about that is they say, well, if everybody had an electric car, we wouldn't have enough grid power. Right, but
okay.
we're working on that. And we're not switching over to electric cars today.
No.
It's a process that'll take
Yeah. Years.
20, 30 years. And
Yeah.
the good news is, I don't know if you heard this. Have you heard how cheap large installation solar power is now? In Dubai, they went out for a bid on an 800 megawatt solar farm.
Mm-hmm.
And the bids ranged from 2.99 cents a kilowatt hour up to 4.5, 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Even
Damn.
at 5 cents,
Yeah.
they obviously went with the 3 cent bid.
Yeah.
Even at 5 cents, that's cheaper than coal.
Yeah.
So that means, sorry, fossil fuel guys, solar's here to stay.
Yeah. Well, and even on top of that too, like even in my field, a lot of people are like, well, what about that? I'm like, okay, those giant Tonka truck mining pieces of
Oh, yeah.
equipment? Yeah. Guess what runs that?
Are those electric?
Yeah, they are.
Are they really?
They are electric, yes. It is,
Wow.
But see, it's a diesel generator.
Oh, it's a diesel electric.
It's a diesel electric.
Like a train.
Yeah, pretty much. It is. If you think about it, it is like the epitome of a hybrid, where
Right.
it's the generator motor that powers the motors that are at the wheels. Now, granted, yes, it can only go 20 miles per hour, but these are.
But it can do it with a fairly reasonable carrying capacity.
I think about like 20, 25 tons of
Well,
soil.
It depends on the truck. They come in
Yeah.
fairly large sizes as well.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it has 2 flights of stairs to get to the driver's seat.
And
Think about that.
in Australia, a lot of the mining trucks are now driverless.
Yeah.
And the reason is because you know how hard it is to support humans in the habitat where the mines are?
Exactly.
It's remote, it's hot, it's unpleasant, and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing to crash into.
Yeah, and also like dangerous fumes or something. It's like easier to contain. No loss of life. That's the big thing. Supposedly.
Well, I don't know if that's important.
Well, we know how important employees really think of, and their employers think of us employees. Yeah, we're not going to get into that yet.
Well, I've had good bosses.
So have I. I've got a good boss right now.
And specifically, I mean 2 out of all of them ever.
Yeah, kind of in the actually same boat.
Yeah.
I take that back. I've had three.
I'm sure I've had plenty,
Yeah.
but I would say they're easily outnumbered
Oh,
by
good
the
Lord, yeah.
by the incompetent a-holes.
Yeah, or the pencil pushers, and I don't mean that to anybody that's in the IT field or whatnot. I'm talking people that, they set up plans for people that have never worked in retail.
Right, or yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that boss who...
Yeah, hi.
I've had a boss... Okay,
Yeah.
so I worked in a restaurant, and the owner had never worked in a restaurant before, had never owned a restaurant.
That
Never
makes it
worked
interesting.
did not know how to wait tables, did not know how to cook, did not know how to design a menu.
Wow.
And a number of issues arose as a result. So anyway, that's a fun story about restaurants as it pertains to electric cars.
Indeed. Which, honestly, there is actually some similarities if you think about it. I mean, look at GM. It took them years to get the Chevy Volt off the ground because they just were kind of, even though...
Because they weren't committed.
They weren't, no. And even though it has performed extremely well, especially in Europe, but it's still a hybrid, which nothing wrong with hybrids, but...
Twice as many systems to fail.
Exactly, and a lot more difficult to work on.
And it's a great intermediate step, but we're past it.
Yeah, and I mean, and especially, like, I know a lot of people are like, well, what about the big rigs and stuff? Well,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. And right now, even if we got all in city, in neighborhood, 300-mile radius, like, range of electric cars, how much fuel would we save alone?
How much would we save on not having to police the people who hate us, who God had the audacity to put on top of our oil?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah. And you're still going to have trucks, so it's going to hand in hand.
So this is early on in Justin's time working with us here at the podcast. Today's big topic I'm trying to teach him is how to know when a segment is over.
Ah, yes.